If she would.
Tell you what, I'll just sit here.
There you go, Mary. I need you to watch Tony as well. You sit there.
All right. I will call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is to elect a chair.
Deputy City Attorney. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Councilwoman?
Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues. Thank you. That means you're going to have to be good. You know how I roll. If you haven't signed the sign-in sheet, please do so before you leave. So Liz will have, she will have access to who's here. That helps her. Okay, first thing is visit Topeka and the contract. Do we have a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go into that. Thank you, Mary. Yes. That's fine.
And I've got hard copies there just in case we were squinting. Sorry, Councilman Lesserman, but, or Lesser, we'll have that up on the screen for you there. So I did want to just start by kind of slightly introducing Visit Topeka for anyone who's unfamiliar with us or maybe watching or seeing the minutes of this. We're a 501c6 not-for-profit organization. We're a destination marketing organization, which means that we specialize in promoting the cities that we're in. We are specialists because we hold DMAP accreditation through Destinations International, which means that we have, on a regular basis, gone through a process of auditing our organization to make sure we're being held to industry standards within our peers. Obviously, we're also part of the Greater Topeka Partnership, which means that the resources that we have, such as our marketing department, our admin teams, and all of that are, thank you, yeah, a consolidated resource with us in the chamber downtown and Go Topeka, amongst others. We have a 25-member board of directors, which includes various at-large seats, some specific to the industry, including hoteliers. I'll recognize the Lodging Association that's here as well as representation on our board in a few seats. We also have an ex officio seat that the mayor holds that Councilmember Ortiz has been sitting in for this year. And of course, we're committed to promoting and elevating Topeka status for conventions, meetings, tour groups, sporting events, and leisure travel. And I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Our mission statement and vision statements, which were revised by our board of directors last year, include showcasing the vibrancy of Topeka by promoting community pride and increasing the economic impact of travel through tourism, through destination marketing and development. And our vision statement is recognized nationally as a destination of choice for inclusive and authentic experiences by connecting visitors and residents to the history, vibrancy, and spirit of Topeka. Additionally, all boards of the Greater Topeka Partnership embarked on diversity, equity, and inclusion statement exercises at the end of 2020. I won't read our entire one, but I'll highlight the second paragraph in that we are committed to building a variety of strong and diverse relationships, which will intentionally seek to attract visitors from diverse groups and markets. We will exhibit an authentic and welcoming environment to all residents and visitors alike. So I structured this presentation really around the contract itself and the key performance indicators that are indicated as part of the contract. What I don't outline in this is there's a couple of things written in the main body of the contract specifically relating to making sure that we have a relationship with the Performing Arts Center and the Stormont Vale Event Center. And just to, these aren't the notes, but just speaking out loud, I sit on the board of directors currently for TPAC, and the Stormont Vale Event Center has an ex officio seat on the Visit Topeka board, so we collaborate with them quite frequently. Within the goals that are outlined in the, I think it's addendum A of the contract right now, and in the next contract as written, there are hotel performance indicators that we measure ourselves against, which is just the overall health of the hotel industry in particular as a bellwether for the travel industry. Obviously, transient guest tax is important. Hotel occupancy and performance is paramount to that performance. So within the packet here, and stop me anytime, as Councilmember Ortiz may know from our board meetings, being long-winded is I can't really do anything else. So being succinct and quick is not something I'm good at. But I just kind of want to just very quickly snapshot the industry.
Well, you'll fit right in there with Tony Emerson.
Kind of looking back over almost a 2-decade history of how the hotels have performed in Topeka. The numbers in here I don't expect you to read, but they are heat maps. So you can kind of see where the trends have fallen over the last 2 decades, and it's really about trends for us at this point. But historically, in terms of just demand, so the number of rooms Topeka has sold in a given monthly and annual period really peaked for this market back in 07, 08, and has experienced a decline and rebound phase that has kind of ended us at around 500,000 to 550,000 rooms sold annually. I'll draw you down towards the 2020 area there where it gets awfully light. Of course, April of 2020 was the height of the shutdown for the pandemic, and obviously the worst year on record and likely the worst year on record in perpetuity, hopefully. That's the bottom. But as you can see, we've recovered somewhat nicely and gotten closer to where we were prior to the pandemic. Last year, we ended at about 523,000 rooms sold, and this year we're on pace. We're about pacing ahead of that about 5% at this point. So all told, we're kind of back to where we were, but not back to where we were historically in 08, which is a priority of ours to get back to the 60,000 room months, which I'm sure the Lodging Association would love to see again. Occupancy rate is going to be a mirror effect of that. That's really just the percentage of rooms sold against the inventory available. We really haven't built that many rooms over the last 2 decades. Jim Klossman's property out at Wheatfield Village is an exception to that, but for the most part, there's not been a lot of development, so that's going to hold pretty consistent throughout the life of this market. This is where it gets really interesting for us, and is why in transient guest tax reporting recently, it's felt like we've been doing so good in terms of recovery. Towards the end of last year, so Q2, we started seeing jumps in the average daily rate in this market. You know, people are talking about inflation now, but really we were seeing price increases in the hotel over a year ago. And this is a good thing for us. Historically, I feel like we've been undervalued. And within our comp set in the Midwest, you know, we needed to be at where we're at now. So we are finally experiencing, almost as a result of necessity, average daily rates being in the $90 range for the first time historically, which with occupancy somewhat recovering but not being at a historic high, but the rooms being so much, that's why we're seeing historic RevPARs, which is a metric in that, but just overall revenue. We've had 3 of the 4 record revenue months this year, and most of the records for those things in transient guest tax have been set within the last year. What's that meant for the transient guest tax? It means that it's looked pretty good this year. But I'll just sort of caution everybody by saying that's a result of the price of the room, not the number of rooms sold. So we are not at historic high in terms of demand for the market. We're just at historic price. Now, obviously, Visit Topeka isn't in charge of every hotel room sold, not even close in this market. So the rest of the goals in the contract get towards what our actual performance and how we can help things makes more sense. In terms of attraction attendance, we have done some really great programming this year that have been targeted specifically at driving attraction attendance at some of our larger ones, in particular the zoo and the Discovery Center. If anyone's unfamiliar of the festival we threw this year, Topeka Dino Days at its core had a key metric that was why we did it in terms of this contract. In 2019, we had sold 158,000 admissions to the attractions essentially that were participating in Dino Days in 2019. We set a goal of 178,000 admissions, which would have been a 20% increase, and we overshot that by about 20,000 and ended at 198,000 admissions, 33% above 2019. And the contract doesn't actually say how many attractions we're supposed to increase, so I think 1 ticket would have sufficed, but we blew that number by quite a bit. So happy to do that, and plenty more opportunities for this that we are working on here in the future. In And spring break in particular was fantastic for us. I'll just say the zoo's previous spring break record was 10,162 guests. This year we did 24,094 guests. If you can recall, there were quite a few traffic jams in the Gage Park area. And I think we blocked traffic over here in front of our information center a few times. So great success and a great partnership on that. Another goal outlined in the contract is the bid fund itself, and that we are obviously using it. The goal itself is 50% of all bid fund collections in a year committed to events 24 months out or longer. This has not really been a problem for us, except for the pandemic, when groups and events just weren't happening. So we didn't have money, or we didn't have groups to incentivize, which is why we were able to do Dino Days this year. Because we built up a bit of a war chest, we were able to go all in on a larger activation for spring and have that success. But I'll say in our 2023 budget draft, which will be voted on by the Visit Topeka board in 2 weeks, 80% of our anticipated bid fund revenues are encumbered with groups that are committed for the next 2 years.
Can you stop right there, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So you're saying all bid fund collections in a year will be committed to events 24 months out or longer?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, what's longer? I mean, I know what's longer, but what do
Yeah.
you mean by that?
Our booking windows in some events for especially large conventions can be 4 years out or more. So we've committed money this year to tournaments and events that will occur in 25, 24, and 26. And that's just kind of how these bid cycles end up for us. So a lot of times we'll have the opportunity to do some short-term support for groups. Particular concerts and events have benefited from that. Dino Days was put together in less than 6 months, but for state associations and the like, and religious groups, military groups, they're usually that far out. So that's having that money and the opportunity to bid on them without having to expense those all in 1 year is a benefit. And I do believe that had changed at one point in time, if I'm right, Kurt, to allow us to do that.
Just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. We have a convention sales group goal that all bid fund commitments that are contracted, especially with room blocks, are contracted at a higher average daily rate than the citywide average daily rate. I'm pleased to say, even with our jump in ADR this year, which is averaging out to $90.33, our average bid fund commitment yield this year is $105 a night. And that is across, I believe, about 15 or 16 commitments.
Are there any questions before we proceed? Mike? Tony?
No, ma'am.
Please continue.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So the other goal outlined in here is a marketing specific goal, and it reads as website views and social media followers over the prior year. I'll say, in short, we've done that in the stride, but also that is somewhat limiting view of all the efforts that we do. We are quite diverse in our integrated marketing programming, all the way from earned media, print media, and everything in between, broadcast. Website is a good sort of canary for us, but we don't measure everything that way. And social media followers is great, but we also measure other things that we'll talk about this year. All the metrics, by the way, we have discussed are available in our quarterly report, which was sent out as part of this. So even though I'm not presenting everything in this, you guys have access to all those metrics on a quarterly basis.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
Go back one, please.
Uh-huh. Oh.
And the last sentence, and our billboard campaign helps to pull drivers from area highways. Where's our billboards campaigns? Because I've been asking for them.
Yep, we have, I believe, 6 to 8 boards in the highways surrounding the market. So we have, and I don't have all the locations off the top, but we're on I-70 in about 3 places. And then the highways, which I don't know the numbers of, running north-south, make up the other half of it. That is part of an annual cooperative program that we created 2 years ago. So the zoo and Evel Knievel go in, and we match that entire bucket to do a $28,000 billboard buy annually with them.
So they're just marketing what events we have then?
They're generic with obviously the zoo represented with a great like animal, usually a giraffe, and then the Evel Knievel, a historic photo with Topeka right in the center. It did change halfway for half of the year as we focused on Dino Days, so it was Evel Knievel and then a T-Rex promoting that.
I would like to know the locations, not
Okay.
now, but when you get a
Yep,
chance,
yep,
please.
we can do that.
Thank you. Any questions, Mike or Tony? No.
So at the core of our annual content campaign, obviously, is our visitor's guide, which contains all the articles and creative elements that our team has put together to promote the following year.
He thinks he's Mexican.
In 2020, we did the first ever Spanish translation of the visitor's guide, and it was done digitally. In 2020, that was 2021. 2022, this guide was the first time we actually were able to get it printed. So that was distributed at most of our points of interest, especially where we knew we had significant Spanish-speaking markets, and then distributed locally as well. The gentleman who translated it for us the first time for the digital edition, Israel Sanchez, we hired him full-time shortly after that. So he helps translate all of our marketing materials in Spanish for us now. And then for proofing and for additional content, we use El Centro and Lalo's team to help make sure that we're not missing anything or can do something tailored specifically to that market. That content obviously ends up becoming our paid media campaign. These are social media examples of sponsored ads that run throughout the year. And they're not always just promoting the visitor's guide, they're event focused as well. So this was some of the marketing we ran promoting Fiesta this year, which featured imagery from the guide. This is an example of one of the billboards, Councilmember Ortiz, that is out there. And again, we can get that comprehensive list to you and mapped out.
He should have been eating them.
Yeah, he's almost well.
That'd cook me.
This has been popular with our partners. We're expanding it this year to include the Discovery Center for 2023. And again, we ask them to all chip in, and then we match the whole thing. So this will end up being more of a $43,000 buy when it's all done. I will say one of the difficult things with billboard marketing in this region is just available inventory. Coming from the Ozarks in the land of fantastic caverns, there's plenty of inventory. I think it's too scenic up here to litter the countryside with billboards, so we really have to fight to make sure we get that space.
Wow.
We run print ads periodically. These are two of the ads that ran this year. The one on the left is promoting upcoming Christmas programming, really highlighting zoo lights in particular. If you look close, you'll see members of my family in that, including my 4-year-old and the gingerbread man there. Yeah, it's always fun to have cameos there with family. And then, of course, one example that we're very proud of is Brown v. Board and that incredible national park site, which we're doing some great work on right now as well. In terms of numbers, which this thing, again, the contract specifically calls out web numbers. This is visittopeka.com traffic through, I believe, 2 days ago. We are trending down just slightly in overall traffic, but that's because we allocate our money to a microsite for Dino Days that is kind of running 1-to-1. So on a goal of 500,000 sessions for the year, through the third quarter, we are just about there as it is. So we're doing very well. Social media numbers is also called out in here. I'll just say follower count is very fluid. I tend to lean more towards just the number of impressions and things that are being engaged on. I know this looks like a seismic activity chart here, but what this is comparing impressions year over year to last year. In that middle area there, you'll see we had some turnover following Dino Days, but we've actually hired on a full-time social media manager. So the blue to the right is that increased activity there, which is very nice to see. Considering that's how I started my career, it's nice to see us doing it well. One of the reports that was handed out as well that we started doing last year, we're in the middle of the 2022 one right now, is we hire an outside firm to measure the effectiveness of our campaigns. They go out and actually poll the markets that we run our media in and ask them, did you come, did you not come, how much did you spend, what did you come here to see and do? And it really gives us a great profile of our visitors annually. You have that available to read in full if you would like, but the incremental impact, the KPIs are there. Our 2021 campaign influenced 77,000 trips with an average party spend of $458. $35 million in impact generated by those campaigns, which is a $178 to $1 spent on the campaign ROI. I'll just say these numbers are always debatable, and I always enjoy debating them. They're pretty industry specific to how we do it and pretty consistent. But what I like to see that I think is really meaningful is the year-over-year comparisons, just to see how we do. So this was our first year. I'm eager to see this next report just to see if we're edging in the right direction, which I think is ultimately the important part here. This is some of the social media activity. Oh, so outside of the advertising we do and the social media, we also have a full PR operation that we run out of. So this is some of the earned media that was generated around Dino Days. This is when people talk about us, when we're not talking about ourselves. Dino Days did very well we measured 86 pieces of coverage nationally. We were named by MSN.com as one of the top 25 summer destinations because of Dino Days, with 1.8 million in media views across that. That was great, but we had another PR campaign that ran here recently where we sponsored the first openly gay NHRA driver as part of an attempt to promote the Pride Kansas event that occurred last month. That did very well for us. We had 4.32 million positive media coverage impressions in national media, including USA Today, that picked it up, which for this particular audience is very good to have Topeka being spoken positively about. So what's next for 23? We have new marketing campaigns always in the works, but we're very eager to start showing that off. We've been working on this stuff for over a year, but new campaign elements are coming. We're going to continue to expand our ability to do cooperative marketing, so we want our dollars matched, if possible, by the private industry and other nonprofits. It was just announced last week that we received a state grant. We're partnering with Emporia, Lawrence, and Manhattan to do a joint ale trail. So the Metal Ale Trail will be launching this spring as a cooperative agreement between us and the state. Destination development is important to us. We support the Riverfront Advisory Council. We also formed a Topeka Area Sports Commission to help create top-tier area attractions. That group has met 3 times now and is dreaming up some really great programming and facilities for this market. Brownview Board will be turning 70 in 2024, and we are helping to lead the national effort to plan and support the commemoration. That means not only programming here, but because President Biden expanded the national parks to recognize the other plaintiff sites, the National Park Service actually had representatives from Delaware, DC, and Virginia here 2 weeks ago to meet with us and others on how we can support the national commemoration of that. I also serve on the board of directors for the U.S. Civil Rights Trail, and I'm helping with the national side of that as well. We're in the partnership, so we're always supporting the community strategy, so Momentum 2027 is very important to us. At the center of that strategy is equity and inclusion, so we look at everything we do through that lens as well. We're making sure that we are engaging as many minority communities as possible to support them and their programming and make them part of our tourism marketing mix. That's all I got. I'm open to any and all questions, and I'm willing to follow up if we can't get them figured out here.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Sean? Tony?
I do not.
Okay. I think that was a good presentation.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
You said it took 6 months to get Dino Days here. Well, that was a good 6 months.
It was very busy, yeah.
I know you were stressed out, but it was well worth it.
Thank you. I would rather have had 18 months, but.
Well, even having a baby, you don't get 18 months, so you had a dino in
I
6
did.
months.
Yeah.
So I really like the way you think outside the box. I think I've told you that before. We haven't always been there on Visit Topeka like that, but I think that's very exciting when we do that. If there's no questions, let's look at the contract. It's a 3-year contract, correct, Mary?
Yes, that's correct. I took the liberty of drafting a resolution that would recommend renewing the contract for another 3 years.
Okay. I don't know if you want to come over here, Mary, so we can hear you.
Now, you don't have the proposed contract yet. You've got the current contract.
Okay,
But the next contract will be almost identical to the one that you're looking at now.
council members, do you want to see the original contract that we're going to approve, or how do you want to do this?
Well, Chair, I see the original here, I guess the one from 2016 or something.
2017 to
2017.
2019.
Okay.
This is the last one. This not.
And these are
it's
just
not-
amendments, aren't they? They extend the term of it.
Yes.
Correct. So Chair, if I could.
Yes, you may.
So Ms. Feeney, would the new one be an actual new contract and not just an amendment like this?
It will probably just be an amendment to this, and some of the dates will be changed, but it will essentially just extend what you're looking at right now.
What are the amendments?
The amendment would just simply be to extend it until 2025.
Okay, that's the only amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear that, Mike?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Do you have any
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
questions? It'll be
I do
for another,
not.
it'll be for another 3 years. So this is what we're up against. This contract expires in December of this year, 2022. So do you want to see it, or we want to, she's already said the only amendment is going to be to amend the 3 more years. We can vote on it now and send it back to the governing body for approval. It's up to you guys. Personally, if that's the only amendment, I would like to go ahead and see us go ahead and approve it and send it back to the governing body for approval.
I support that, Chair.
Can I get a motion, please? Before I get a motion, I don't know if you guys would like to say anything on this.
I would just like to make a comment.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get you a mic.
Why don't you come over here?
Yeah. Yeah, I have people that are watching at home that I need
Oh.
them, I need,
There's one set up over there.
okay.
Over there? Okay, you can, well.
Okay, state your
Okay.
name, please, and who you're with.
Kurt Young, I currently am the chair of the Downtown Topeka Foundation and have served as the executive director of the Topeka Lodging Association for multiple years. But I just felt it was appropriate at this point in time to say something publicly that I've felt for several years now that Sean's been here. I think I can honestly say when I speak for the membership of the Topeka Lodging Association, as well as myself, that I have never felt as confident and as comfortable in the management of our transient guest tax dollars and what it does for this community as I feel have felt right in these recent times since Sean's been here. So I think that needs to be said, that we are very comfortable, we're confident in what they're doing, we've seen the results, and if you didn't pick up on some of the charts that he was showing, those charts are full testimony to the success that's been achieved with the transient guest tax money in the last couple of years. So thank you, Sean, and I hope that you'll take the appropriate action to approve the contract, the amendment to the contract to extend it.
Thank you. Joanne, would you like to say anything, or is there anybody else that would like to say anything? You would second that? Okay, thank you. I agree. Sean got here and he had to deal with COVID on a lot of things, so I'm looking forward to see what else he has in his pocket. to bring forth. Okay, so let's get back to is there anybody else that want to say anything? If not,
Other than that was just about the kiss of death from him to you, Sean. You better keep your friends close and your enemies close.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Lesser, remember, we are on TV, remember that.
Why'd you laugh?
We are being recorded here, to my
Why'd you
brother.
Why'd you laugh then?
Okay, so let's talk about the contract. Yes, Mr. Emerson.
Just had a question for Mrs. Feeney. Is there anything from the city's perspective, any issues? I mean, you good with the contract as the way it is? Just since it's been like 6 years?
Yes, we've reviewed the contract and consulted with finance. Everything is up to snuff, so we have no concerns.
Okay. Mike, do you have any questions?
No, I don't either. Sean's done a great job as well. I would echo that as well under difficult circumstances. And no, I really don't have any questions. I haven't had lunch though, and Tony wanted to drop something by on his way out of there.
You'll be shocked to know that I have.
It's 11, okay.
Right, throw that
Let's get
softball.
back to the contract. Okay, so do we want to approve, what do we want to do? Yes, I'll take a motion.
I would move that we, ask the city attorney's office to prepare another 3-year extension and present it to the council for approval.
Yes, I've drafted a resolution to that effect, so if you would like to move to approve the resolution, then it will go on to the governing body.
Sorry, let me,
Here, just, Councilmember Emerson, there it is, right there.
Do you have your glasses?
no, actually, they're missing somewhere, but, I will find them someday.
Okay.
Well, I would move that we advance this resolution to the council for their approval, the recommend approval, I guess.
Yes,
Is that going to work?
yes.
Okay.
Second, I
Okay.
second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0, Liz.
All right, we'll get this on the council agenda then.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yep, keep up the good work.
Is there anything else to come before this great committee that has met one time, did their work, and we're moving on? Is there anything else to, yes?
Can I give you guys a quick update?
Yes, but I need you at a microphone, please.
You have to go over there and be sworn in. Bailiff, could you please swear her in?
Have you seen the answers?
Thank you.
Mike, I'll email you.
That sounds good. You can give it to Tony when he brings lunch by.
Oh, God. Okay.
Well, can you hear me? Okay, I know you can hear me. So I appreciate the opportunity to just give you guys a quick update, and I'm so glad Kurt said a few words about Sean, because he is, as you all know, amazing. We're lucky to have him. He's been a great partner for all of the entertainment venues, and of course, you know, I especially love hearing all the great things that he's doing with the zoo and the Discovery Center. So that's good for all of us. So we have so much going on at the Jayhawk Theater. I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank you for your support and highlight the impact of your investment of the TGT funds that you've allocated. Since receiving the funds, we have completed a number of critical building infrastructure projects, and we use those funds to leverage other grant funds as matching and complete those projects. So a new sewer has gone in, we have a new stage door, and what's coming up this spring is the foundation restoration. And you don't appreciate how important that is until every time it rains, you have water leaking into the basement. So this is a big deal, and we are grateful to have an incredible team at the city that we're working with. We've got your best engineers, and we're working with Vance Kelly and Our board member, Joe Scranton, is here. He is involved in that important project as well. So the next phase is CD, construction documents, and we'll be putting it out to bid. And this is going to be well over $100,000 investment in the long-term securing the foundation of the historic theater, our official state theater of Kansas, last historic theater in Topeka. So we're glad to get that done. And then we're also thrilled that the city, we're working with the city to come in and do mill and overlay and finish the alley for proper drainage so we don't run into that problem down the road that also benefits Iron Rail and the Michaelis Lofts and GTP and all the other businesses in that surrounding area. So that's going to be great. So that's coming up in the near future. And as you know, we closely track our zip code and attendance statistics. And for those of you who know me, take this very seriously in terms of the economic impact and tourism and bringing people to our community, community pride, children education, all of those things are like really important. So a few statistics that you might like to know. So we brought in Joseph Hall, who was a top 10 finalist on America's Got Talent. He's an Elvis impersonator. And the first 160 tickets we sold were all new. All not in our database, had never been to the theater. So, and they were coming, so I'm there greeting them. They're coming from all over, Lawrence, Kansas City, every zip code in Topeka, Overland Park, Mayetta. I mean, there's a long list. Pleasant Hill, Wamego, Las Vegas. We are getting ready to have our first Midwest Film Fest. That will be in on November 12th, I think. And we'll have a special Q&A session with award-winning filmmakers, again, coming from all over the region. One Emmy award-winning filmmaker from Missouri. So they'll be bringing people from all over. We are super excited to be working with Brown v. Board. We started conversations with them about 6 months ago for the 2024 event. And as you might remember, we participated by showing the Black Klansman with Kevin Wilmot, who came in for a Q&A for the last big event that we did. And so this is going to be huge, and we're eager to partner. Jeff's talking about a Freedom Film Fest to be part of that. So we look forward to partnering on that. What we have coming up for 2023, we are busy. We already have 3 weddings and 2 proms booked. The first date available for the auditorium is February 11th. We're booked through the end of the year. We have March, April, and May, 3 open weekends. So we are working hard, bringing in a lot of people. It's hard to do with only 282 tickets to sell. Every time we have a big event, we get calls and people want to book the theater, and then when they realize we're, have limited occupancy, you out this stuff on the youth programming because I don't want to overextend my time and update, but we just can't tell you how much we appreciate your support. We would not be here without the TGT funds. It has made a huge difference in the past years. Recently, we have invested over $500,000 towards the infrastructure improvements, towards getting the building ready for construction. So we're eager to do that. We're eager to double and triple our statistics that we can share with you with the increased occupancy when that happens. So thank you again for your investment. It's important to us. And if you have any questions.
Are there any questions? I just want to personally thank Joanne for plugging away. In 2005, she was the first person that I met with, and she said, I want a Discovery Center. Then she got me on this little plane, and we went to Indiana and Chicago and looked at different Discovery Centers, and we got our Discovery Center up and running.
That was a fun trip.
It was fun.
It
was very fun. But what I liked about it is you implemented all kind of people, doctors that were looking at the mobility of the play, mentally and everything. And so she's a go-getter. So I look for big things coming out of the civil.
Well, thank you. And when everybody in the community is involved and has a voice, you get, the collective vision is always better.
That pilot was great. I bet you Tony would have not have had us there in time. But anyway,
Would have had a good
so
thing.
keep doing what
Thank
you're
you.
doing, and we thank you for that. It's
All
good
right.
people like that.
Well, thank you for all you guys do and your commitment to the community. Good
Thank
things
you.
are happening.
City manager, you have anything to add? City manager, you gotta bring something to add. You can't just come and sit over there like the deputy, or what'd you call him, the sergeant of arms?
I would echo the comments, ma'am, in regards to Sean. We've seen some remarkable things happening downtown. We've seen some remarkable things with promoting our city. So Sean's doing a great job. His team's doing a great job. And I know there's some exciting things on the horizon.
Well, I'll be looking for him. All right. Okay, if there's nothing there's nothing more, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. You know when that'll be on the next?